So now I'm going to harass you about Laura Tohe because, as you know, I spoke to her on the telephone. I tried to get her to do a Zoom call with me, but she's doing the RLI maneuver. What does that mean? Well, as you may or may not know, a lot of natives, especially the Navajo, they have this idea. I used to have a girlfriend, by the way, who was Navajo, so I'm speaking from experience. Of course, I had a bunch of girlfriends from everywhere, but never mind. Um, they didn't like to be photographed. They said something about it stealing their spirit or something. There's a lot of beliefs about that, and you have to kind of be respectful of other tribes and other cultures, you see. So I did not want to push the issue. Oh, come on, make a video with me. Let's do a Zoom call. Let's record. No, never mind, never mind. So we just spoke on the phone. And I've taken some notes from our discussion. So without any further ado, let's get into it. If you go online, let's see if I can get this to work right, and you try to look up Laura Tohe, you can go to her homepage, lauratohe.com. Poet, writer, librettist, scholar. She's also the poet laureate of the Navajo Nation, which is really cool. And I have no idea how to say Tsena Bilhni. 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 I can't even say it. But she's from the Sleepy Rock People clan, born in Bitterwater clan. She grew up in Crystal, New Mexico, on the Diné homeland. She's got a bunch of books. Some that I need to mention are Making Friends with Water, which is out of print, and I've been begging her to republish it. She says she's going to. I used to have a copy of that book. I have no idea where it went because, as you know, a lot of us natives, we move around too much, especially my clan. We're called the Runaway Band for a reason. Let me see. No Parole Today, Native American women writers, all kinds of stuff on there. But what we know about her is that she's about 72, 73 years old. She's a professor emeritus from the University of Arizona, or is it Arizona State University? There it is. And here's some copies of what her books look like. This is the one I had out of print, Code Talkers. She's really big on the Code Talkers as we spoke on the telephone. Now, she also mentioned for people who are unfamiliar with her work to start with this one, No Parole Today. It's a book about boarding schools, and we spent a little time talking about boarding schools. As you may or may not know, Singing Eagle, I went to day school, but she went to a boarding school, which is a little different in some ways and a little same in the others. I had nuns, Carmelite nuns, and we traded some of our scary stories about being our mouths washed out with soap and well, I didn't get that too much. I got what do they call masking tape on the mouth if I was caught speaking uh, my language, which is called Nishnabé. But never mind, we don't have enough time for that. We got to keep rolling. We want to talk about her. She also had the same problems. She said that when she went to boarding school, says here her dad was a code talker, by the way. We'll get into that. When she went to boarding school, they washed her mouth out, they paddled her fanny, all that kind of stuff. And she didn't even go to a Catholic boarding school. She went to a public boarding school. So, yeah, there was that. As I said before, me going to day school, I had a little bit of it, but not as intense as a lot of those of you, or her in this case, have gone to the boarding schools where the idea was to kill the Indian and save the man. This idea of taking the kids off the res, away from their family, and keeping them in a boarding school run by non natives and cutting off all their hair and spraying their heads with DDT, supposedly to delouse them and strip them naked and put on uniforms, starchy old uniforms, and be made to march in line. Yeah, we had to do that in Catholic school too. But and teach them how to be non-Indians. Well, I don't want to pull the color race thing, but yeah, teach them how to be little white kids. All right. So we did trade the stories as we spoke on the phone. As I said before, her dad was a code talker. So she grew up speaking Dene language, Navajo language. And she had to have all that washed out of her, but luckily she didn't lose it. She may have temporarily, but she never lost it. She got her bachelor's at the University of New Mexico, her master's at the University of Nebraska at Lincoln, and her PhD at UN Lincoln as well. And she's been at Arizona State U since 1994 as a professor. There's the books again. Deep Rock, Reflections on Kenyon de Shelley, Code Talker Stories. So those are her famous books, but she also got her how do I want to say, debut, her big break in poetry, you see, because again, she is the poet laureate of the Dene Nation, the Navajo Nation. We talked about that one already. The book No Parole Today uh, has a specific focus on the residential school experience. Now I have on here item G. This is 3G, trying to make the invisible visible. I'm trying to remember what were we talking about. I'm doing this from memory, you see. Don't have my notes completely with me. I could stand up here and read to you, but I don't wanna. I remember. Excuse me. It's this idea, you see, of native peoples being made invisible, what shows up from tribe to tribe, from nation to nation. You will see it again and again where the people are speaking of being turned invisible. And her big goal in her writing is to make the invisible visible again, you see. And I could go on explaining this and harp on it for another half hour, but I'm sure you can probably figure out what this means. I could tell stories of my own life at the University of California at Santa Barbara and other universities where I studied of being the invisible minority and people asking me if I'm Mexican or am I Puerto Rican or am I, what's that big country, Brazilian or something, and they never could figure out, oh, the dude's a Native American. Never mind. But we won't go there because we had to keep going, you see. I asked her about her writing and how she even got into it. I mean, after all, it's not every day you run into someone who likes to write in English. Well, she says that she started at an early age. She was precocious reader and a precocious, even in boarding school, she became like a teacher's pet because she was such a good reader and she would read instead of like a robot. See spot, run, see dick and she would read with emotion and anyway, she was really good and her teachers loved it. And she hung out in libraries all the time, so she was a quintessential library nerd like yours truly. And she got in, not only was she good at reading, she also started liking the idea of storytelling and writing. Um, Says here she's been reading and writing since she was little. And early on, when she was really little, she thought that only white people could write. That's what she specifically mentioned to me on the phone. This was just a few days ago, I think last week, I think it was. Again, I already talked about this. She comes from a background with a strong oral tradition and started off as a poet and then branched off into novels, and she even wrote a play and some other things. Let me see. Distinction. Natives write from authentic. Oh, I remember. I asked her, what are some things that you believe, excuse me, distinguish native writers from non-native writers? And she gave me an earful on the phone. She says, well, we natives often write from our authentic selves more than non-natives. And again, I don't want to do the color thing and race thing and talk about Washichus versus not versus natives. We won't go there. But what she's saying is the stories that we share are more authentic because they have a cultural aspect to them as well as one's own personal aspect. She spent a lot of time telling me the story of Navajo code talkers. I could stand up here and tell it to you, but I don't have time. You sure? And besides, I put some links up on e-learning where she goes into great detail. She does emphasize this, and she wants you, as my students, to understand what is a code talker, how did it work. So I recommend that you go to the video on e-learning and look it up, and you'll see what I'm talking about. One thing she also mentioned to me is the sacredness of water, which is kind of cool. Um, Many tribes have this idea, this concept, the beauty and sacredness of water. And she says for the Navajo people, water isn't just a thing, it's a spiritual force, and it has its own song and its own life to it. And we need to learn how to respect it better than what we have been doing. And again, I could stand up here and preach, but I don't want to. Last thing she says is she recommends that you go to Poetry Foundation magazine. I forgot to put a link for that. I will do that after today's lecture. So there it is. Poetry Foundation magazine. She's really big on that one. Um, what more can I say? Rather than torture you too much on that, let me show you e-learning really quick. So here it is. The first one is a general, she's got a reading that's called Dodge Charger, where she talks about her dad a little bit, and the next one goes more into depth about Navajo code talkers. So at your leisure, when you're not too busy, because remember, you can listen to this stuff while you're doing dishes, while you're doing Pilates or whatever weird exercises are out nowadays, um, while you're changing the baby's diapers. That's the thing I used to do, of course, and not just everybody always say, only girls. No, 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 no. I'm not going to go there. You could be vacuuming. No, that's too loud. Whatever you're doing, just play it in the background. All right, I've talked too much. I bet you I've spoken for 16 minutes. Let's see how it looks. No, 16 minutes and 49 seconds. Right on. Okay, we'll stop it there. Thank you so much for being so patient, and we'll see you in the next section. See you later.